Hi guys, and welcome to this episode of the Happy Knitting Podcast. My name is Julia, I'm coming to you from the UK, and today is Wednesday, the 25th of June 2025. Welcome if you're joining for the first time, and welcome back if you are a regular viewer. You'll have noticed that I didn't record last week because A, we had a heat wave, and more importantly, B, my son was home for 2 days. One of them being my regular recording days, so then it just wasn't possible, but I'm here today. Recording before work, so I've just basically got up, got my son ready for school. So let's see how many brain cells are working, but we'll figure it out because I have so much crafting to show you, so I wanted to record really badly this week. I have a couple of finished objects, so we'll quickly run through those and then I'll show you the new things I've started. First up, I have finished these socks, which you'll remember I started these ages ago. In fact, I started these on our holiday in Greece in April. So I finally made myself finish them. These are Prolana socks, woolly hugs. I think the color is 213. I did look it up because I forgot, and trusty Google image search came to the rescue. As you can probably see, I made these in a 3x1 rib. I just basically knit tubes, and for the bottom I eventually switched to stockinette. And then this week I finished the second sock, and then I added in some some afterthought heels. So you will be able to tell that these socks match but the heels don't, which I think is fun, because who will know? It's literally at the bottom of your feet, but I think it's fun. So these are finally done. I sort of got sick of them, which is why I took a long time to finish them, but now I'm just really happy they're done. I haven't decided if I'm keeping those or if they might be gifts, but at least they're done. So that is one less whip for me to worry about. I also finished another pair of stripy socks. Where is the second one? I do have two of these. Oh, there it is. These are some indie dyed self-strapping yarns. This yarn is from the Yarn Badger here in the UK. And this yarn was called Whoopsie in Purple or something because there are some thicker stripes in there that shouldn't be there. So this is why it's a Whoopsie yarn. And I think it was like 30% off. So this is my first time trying Yarn Badger yarn, and I really liked it. The base is really lovely, and as you can see, it came with a mini for the heels and cuffs. I just did the toes in the self-strapping, and these are definitely going in my sock drawer. I really like these. Yeah, so 2 pairs of socks in like 12 days, which I'm quite happy about. And then I also finished my hat with an end coming out of it. Let's just ignore that. I finished my Musselburgh hat. So you may remember I was knitting for this for a while. This is the Musselburgh hat by Isolde Teague, which you knit like a long tube and then fold it into itself. And yeah, I used Bona yarns. Forgot the colorway. Sorry, something meaty bouquet, I think. And yeah, it's a hat. As you probably know if you've been watching for a long time, I tend to make these without folding the cuff over. I feel like if you want to fold the cuff over, you need to knit it longer than the pattern, unless you want like a really short hat. So what I do is I knit the regular length, I think the adult small length, to have a hat that I don't fold over, and then if I do want to fold it over, I add something like 10 centimeters at least, to get like a comfortable fold that still goes like underneath your ears. But yeah, this is gonna be another one for my collection. I love these hats for autumn and winter, and I think it's really fun to have loads of them in different colors. So yeah, very happy with these. This one, I knit this on 3mm needles. And you'll probably know that this pattern you can knit with different gauges. So that makes it really fun, but I like knitting it with sock weight or fingering weight, and then you get this really sort of it's not gappy, it's a loose fabric, but then when you fold it up, it's just perfectly stretchy, and I don't know. It reminds me a bit like your hat version of sweatpants. Like, it's just really comfortable. And I think this one turned out really fun. So yeah, 3 finished objects this week. Don't get used to it. It won't happen again. But I did just clear the needles a little bit, which was great and felt really good. In terms of my Karen whips, I have not even looked at my Mohairino medley shawl. I'm just sort of, I will come back to it at some point, but now is not that time. I also didn't do any work on my Olga sweater, which might give my sister time to catch up. But I have done a little bit, actually a fair bit, on my second version of the Winter's Beach cardigan by Andrea Mowry, who is Drea Renee Knits. So this is what it looks like. I'm still going up the body. I feel like I like this pattern, but it does take a while. So yeah, I've done like 4 inches if we're being generous on this. And I love how it looks. Ignore it being crinkled from being shoved into a bag. I love the cables. I think it's really pretty. And I am sort of halfway through my second 100-gram ball, which is slightly worrying because this seems to be eating a lot of yarn, but I have loads of this yarn. This is the Black Hill something. I talked about it last week. I will talk about it again next week. It's one of the Black Hill yarns that is 80% wool and 20% other fibers, which are these little neps. I'm not sure if you can see them, and it's really pretty, and I think I have at least 600 grams, if not more, so it will be fine. Sorry, I feel like I'm rushing. I don't mean to rush. I'm just acutely aware that A, my husband is gonna come home from school run soon, and B, I need to go to work. So we're doing it quickly today, but at least we are catching up, so that's the main thing. Right, so I have 2 new Castons. I'm not buying yarn, repeat after me, I'm not buying yarn, except I always sort of budgeted that whenever Fab Funky Fibers does like a new color drop, I'm going to buy them. Because I love, and I'm not sponsored, I just really like Fab Funky Fibers self-strapping yarn, which is something you'll know if you've been watching for a while. And I feel like she only comes out with new colors maybe twice a year. So when she did, I placed an order, which I won't show you, I'll just show them to you as I knit them up. But she also had a couple of her old colorways on sale. So I got this one and already finished 1 sock. And I shall tell you, this is colorway Big Top by Fab Funky Fibers here in the UK. And I've told you many times, what I do is I get the 50-gram skeins, which are of course much cheaper than getting a full skein. And then if I use a contrasting heel and toe and cuff, sometimes I don't even do the toe, I can easily even get a size 42, EU size 42 sock, basically like a full-size sock out of that. So that's what I tend to do. I got a bunch of colorways, just 50 grams of each. And as you can see, this first sock is finished. I did use Filcolana Aweta, which we'll come to again later. For the cuff and the heel, I tried a garter stitch heel using the Shadow Wrap heel, which was a little bit more fiddly than, I used to do this a lot with the Fish Lips Kiss heel. And if you want a garter stitch heel, like a short row garter stitch heel, the Fish Lips Kiss heel is the easiest one, because you literally just knit all the purl stitches. And as I found out, if you want to do the same for the Shadow Wrap heel, there's a little bit more figuring it out. I don't want to give it away because I think there's someone who has made a paid tutorial for it. I didn't use it, but it is possible. So that's what I did this time round. And then I think only at that, this is still the main stripe, the black one, and then for the very, very last bit, I used the contrast color. And this is so satisfying because I just split the 50 grams skein in half, and I'm essentially using every last bit of the yarn, so there's no leftovers, which I think feels very, very satisfying. So the first sock is done, and I knit on this yesterday on my commute. This is the second sock. They will not match. That is the one thing. If you get 50 grams and eke a pair of socks out, they won't match. But I don't mind. I think this colorway is so crazy anyways. It's really funny because you think like this is one repeat, right? But then actually the colors change, and the repeat I think only repeats down here. So the colors are always in like different orders, which I think is quite fun and would have been so much more work to dye. But yeah, that is my latest Fab Funky Fibers sock, which I presume won't be on the needles that much longer. I don't have that much more to go. And it is a F1 weekend, so might even cast on some more socks. I feel like either I need another pair of socks on the needles, or I need to cast on another muscle bra hat, because I always need stockinette knitting for, say, commuting for Formula 1. And yeah, why not? So this is my second cake, like 25-gram cake of yarn. And again, I'm going to use all of this up, which will be great. So that is one of the projects that I cast on. And then the other day, I really felt like starting a new lacy shawl. So I got out my 52 weeks of scarves book. So this is 52 weeks of scarves. I think this used to be called 52 weeks of shawls. At least it's the same book. I don't know what happened with the naming. And I am currently trying to work more from my knitting books. Apologies if the lighting is funny. So I do like collecting knitting books, but then I don't really use them this much. So I decided I felt like a lacy shawl. I'm just going to look in this book. And I didn't even look for very long until I just basically went with the first pattern that I liked, which is the Cetralia shawl. As per usual, I think Linus Photography, they don't really show you the projects very well. But this is a wrap by Linda Linkovic, who I believe is the dyer behind Kettle Yarn Co. Don't quote me on it, but I'm pretty sure. So this is basically a long shawl, and then I thought for these little, like, I think it's linen stitch lines, I could use mini skeins. So what I did is I got myself a main color, and the book tells you need 2 skeins of a main color, and then I was just going to use mini skeins to make the stripes. So what I did is I picked this really, really old yarn from Stash. This is Schoppel Wool Finest in the colorway 2345, Sand am Meer. I bought this in Mainz in Germany 7-8 years ago, a long time ago, and I had 2 skeins of this, so I thought this is perfect. So I decided to use this, and then I went through my mini skeins, which are mostly either Indie Yarn Club or Spectrum Fiber, and I picked them, and I started my wrap. I started on smaller needles than recommended. I think I started on 3.25 because I am a loose knitter, but I didn't like the fabric at all. So then I decided to go with the original needle suggestion, which is a size 4mm needle. And isn't it so pretty? I really, really like it. I will come to the issues in a second, but first things first, I didn't do the frilly border. First time around I did an I-cord cast on, but then I couldn't be bothered doing it again after I had to rip it out. So this one doesn't have an I-cord. I may add it later. I may add a fringe later. We haven't decided yet. Also, the pattern has basically 3 different stripe sections, and one of them is skinnier than the other ones, and I didn't like that, so I'm just doing what she calls, I think, insert 1 and insert 2. I'm just doing like the 2 stripe sections that have the same amounts of rows in the contrast yarn, and I think this sort of linen stitch, whatever it's called, is really, really fun. I think it works really well. The downside is only when I checked Ravelry after I'd already knit a fair bit did I realize that the book is wrong and you should have had 3 colors of the main color, 3 skeins of the main color, which is a massive pain. And yeah, I mean, I know things happen. I know there's erratas for a reason, but the fact that that's quite a big bit of information that Lina missed there. So I was not impressed, and I'm still not impressed about that, because there's no way I'm getting the same yarn and the same dye lot from Germany now, and I'm also not going to make the effort. The whole point was to knit from stash, and if I had known I needed 3 skeins, I would have picked something different. But yeah, I decided to keep on knitting, and only now I realized like it's quite a wide scarf, because I thought it would be fine. It should be fine. 2 400-meter skeins of yarn should be fine, but I don't think they will be, because of my first skein I only have this much left. So I am undecided. I love it too much to undo it. I know I could make it skinnier, but I've knit so much on this. I don't want to rip everything out. I've also cut the contrast yarns, and yeah. So as I see it, I have 2 options, because option 3 would be to get the same yarn, and I don't think that's something I want to do, and probably can't even do anyways. So either, I'm going to knit until I run out of the first skein, and then obviously I can do the math and see how long it would be if I just used these 2 skeins. But I have a feeling it's going to be too short for a wrap, because I'm not very far in. And yes, this is stretchy, I can block it out, but there's a limit to that as well. So option 1 would be to turn this into a cowl, because I think it would be quite pretty as a cowl. It would be a very long cowl, but I don't think it would matter. I think it would be quite pretty. So I can't really show you, but this would be nice. It would be a bit of a shame because I'm using a larger quantity of yarn and then I wouldn't be using it up either. But I think it could work. It's just quite deep. Unless I seam it up at the side, I'm not sure. But I do like the effect of this. The other option would be, and I'm leaning towards that at the moment, to add a different color in the middle. So this is why I have this Filcolana Awetta that I use for my socks here, because I think that could be an affordable option, where essentially in the middle we have a darker section and then we go back to the lighter grey. So let me know what you think. I'm quite curious. What I don't like, I'm sort of very particular in matching yarn bases, and this has a very different feel to this. But I might just have to go with it. The other question I have, but again, I could do some math and figure it out, is my mini skeins, how many straps can I do with them? Because I think the blend of the different main colors would work best if I then did the stripes throughout the dark color as well. But I'm not sure how many stripes I can get out of the colors I chose. So as you can see, there's quite a bit of thinking that I need to do to figure this out. And honestly, I was a little bit annoyed by this because I spent most of the weekend, including Friday when I had my son home from school, working on this, and then to realize it won't just be like a straightforward project and I'm going to have to, I don't know, finagle it. I was a little bit annoyed, but I think it's worth it. I do still really, really like it. So I think we'll make it work. Do let me know what you think. Sorry, it's another podcast of interruptions. I'm really, really sorry. I apologize. If this is going to just work with the main color and it's just a tiny bit short, what I could do is add a fringe on either side. Like that would add at least, I don't know, 8 centimeters, possibly even 10 on each side. So I could do that. I just don't know. I mean, God knows, I could add a dark fringe and then tie it back together with the middle bit. So there are options. I didn't really want to be deciding all these options. I just wanted to knit my scarf as it is in the pattern, but that's clearly not happening. So let me know what you think. I do think it's a very pretty pattern. It's very fun to knit, and I very quickly memorized the little stitchy bits as well. So I do like it. I love the look. I just need to figure it out. So let me know what you think, and we'll see how this goes. The last object that I wanted to mention is a finished embroidery object. So I showed you last week a couple of sort of pre-printed fabrics that I got on a Lucky Dip sale. And I said I wanted to make some sort of quick project, and I decided to make this little guy. And I think I made him in like a day and a half. So I used some fabric from Cotton Clara, and yeah, I just went nuts on this little owl, and I love it so much. I think if you look up the original sort of kit that Cotton Clara has, which I didn't use, they use different stitches, but I just had some fun with it, and I think he's so cute. I really love him. And of course, my son fell in love with him immediately. So this is going to be in his room. In fact, it's a miracle that I mentioned to keep it downstairs, to take video of it, to include it in this podcast for like 10 days. But this is going to move into his room today, and I think it is so cute. He's kind of obsessed with all things stitching at the moment. Like, he does the tiny kids embroidery bits where you embroider through a little bit of felt, and he loves it. So I think he deserves this. And then I recently ordered some like kids hats, like caps, cotton caps on sale. And he wants me to stitch on those. And we keep having disagreements because he wants the entire cap to be stitched. Whereas I'm like, I can do a little bit, I can do your name. So I think we've settled on a rainbow on a pink cap. So that's going to be my next project, but he's very impatient about it. So we'll see, but at least this thing is done. I think it's very cute. And yeah, I guess soon I can get started on my July portion of my embroidery journal as well. And we'll see what happens after that. So yeah, basically that is what I have been working on in the last 10 days or so. 10 more minutes until I have to go to work. So that worked out really well. I apologize. I feel like, again, I had so many interruptions, and I also forgot how words work. I can't English anymore sometimes. But I hope you still enjoyed this episode. I think they're a bit more relaxed when I have the day off, but oh well, we do our best. So do let me know what you have been working on, what you are dreaming of knitting on. I hope that wherever you are in the world that you're safe and healthy and you have some yarn to play with. I will hopefully be back with you next week. And until then, happy knitting. Take care. Bye.